Hey, Xcapaders! Welcome to the Xcapade to Expansion podcast, where we hope to help challenge the mind, heal the body, and elevate the spirit on your journey of self-discovery. Are you ready to expand?
Hey, Xcapaders! Welcome back to another episode. Hi!
Hey,
Today's episode is sponsored by Life Coach Vaughn. Do you ever feel like there has to be more to life than this? Do you understand how the discovery and pursuance of your purpose and passion can assist minimizing that feeling? Well, if you're ready to get unstuck and live life on your own terms, schedule a consultation today at meetlifecoachvaughn.com. Today's episode, since the seasons are changing, y'all, we're going to be talking about spring cleaning.
Get the hell out.
Get out.
Get out.
Not like the movie, Get Out.
Wait a minute, wait.
You never know. You never know.
Right. Depends on what we talking about. For real.
Isn't that shark music, man?
Jaws.
Either way, something coming to get you.
Right.
You may want the shark.
It'll work.
Let me put this down so I spit it out.
My name is Tisa, and I am your emotional wellness guide. I am joined by my three lovely co-hosts. Ladies, want to introduce yourself?
My name is Jessica Devine, and I'm going to be your physical and mental wellness guide.
My name is Jeanne-Vuana, and I am your actualization wellness guide.
And I am Angela, your spiritual and wellness guide.
So, the hot topic, obviously the seasons are getting ready to transition. And when I and you ladies started this whole escapade to expansion, our whole thing, and we started in the winter, right? Our whole thing was releasing what does not serve you.
Yeah.
So that was the fall and the winter mission because, as you know, we're kind of on trend with the weather. So now, as we come into spring, we're talking about after you release what didn't serve you, now you're making room for the new growth that is incoming this spring season, just like we see with our current weather.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this subject. How about y'all?
This gonna be good. so the question of the hour is, what are you releasing? What are you getting rid of that's no longer serving you?
Yes. And what are you welcoming in? Like, what are you excited about?
Okay. Well, I'll go. This is good. When we decided to have this topic, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so me right now. So, what am I releasing, letting go of that no longer serves me? People and kind of responsibilities. Things that I've been connected to for some reason, and I haven't quite figured it out yet, and I'm sure it'll reveal itself eventually. Every 2 years is when there's a kind of a major shift in my life. It's every 2 years. It'll start off, if it's, chaotic, if it's all over the place, I can expect kind of a 2-year transitioning, developing, learning period, if you will. And there are a lot of things that I was actually tied into, especially with my business. 2 years ago was the pandemic, really.
Right.
We were going through that whole thing. I was just accepting becoming a life coach full time around about 2 years ago. And I was attaching myself to things and to people, attempting to figure it out. And I realized once it's gotten to a peak, if you will, that I wanted to leave off on a good high note.
Yeah.
So it's not even like I was divorcing or pulling myself or getting rid of things on a bad note because they did something wrong. It was just like, my time here is done, and it was no hard feelings or anything like that. It's like I am being led to now welcome new things in my life, because what I realized is, even though it felt good to still be a part of those things, I realized it was also holding place. It was taking up time that I needed to dedicate to other things that I wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
So specifically, I was a part of a clubhouse room for 2 years, affirmation and gratitude. That's actually where Tisa said, we connected on it, and I loved that space. And the responsibility was, after around about a year, we would be there every single day, except for Saturday and Sundays, 8:30 a.m. to around about 9:30, sometimes 10 o'clock, depending on how good the room was. I made a lot of nice connection. I learned a lot, and I had felt like it's time for new voices to come on in this space. So I made sure I had a replacement, and then they were filling in, and they were feeling empowered and encouraged, right? So that's one of the main things that I felt like it was still good. And I go back and I visit every now and again, but I had to make way. I had to release it so that I could welcome these other ventures that are taking place. So that's one of them.
I like that. I'll go next. I am also letting go of people, clinging to, and limiting beliefs. I think for me as well, like after the pandemic or during the pandemic, well, a little bit before, like 2019, 2018, there has been a big shift in my life since 2018 in terms of who I am, my self-discovery, my self-growth, understanding what my gifts are, what my purpose is, and inviting all of that in and coming to that understanding, and really embracing my authenticity. It's been a lot of limiting beliefs that I had to push through, and I'm still pushing through. The self-love, self-worth. I remember last year I said I was going to do everything. I'm a big believer in doing it afraid anyway.
Absolutely,
right? And just being comfortable with fear. Like sometimes fear doesn't go away, right? You just gotta
do it.
It's natural.
Right, do it and let it pass.
Yeah.
And last year it was very much 2021. I'm losing track of time. My God. 2021, I said I'm going to say yes to everything that scares me, and I mean in a healthy way. But every opportunity, because I was beginning to walk in my purpose, every opportunity that came my way was literally my first time doing it, and I was frightened to death and had no idea like how to do it. Stumbled my way through a lot of things, but there has been tremendous growth because of my yes over the past 3 years. It's been amazing.
Amazing. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The yes. So surrendering to the yes. And for me, my story goes back to during the pandemic. It's a lot of evolution that happened during the pandemic.
It's necessary.
For a lot of
it was
people.
necessary.
It taught people, places, things, like extraordinary things. Creativity came from pandemic and all of these good things. For me, I needed to lose who people thought that I was. Right. And so being more than a therapist, being more than a preacher's kid, being more than, a sister, being more than the one that does it all. She's the one that gets it done. Do it, right? And so what God had told me, he said that I need you to be with me. I need a secret place. And for years, I wanted to change my number that I had for over 30 years. It was one phone number that, yes, Jessica. Yes.
I'm saying that like I haven't had my number for almost 20 years.
And I was like, why? And he said, access. Because of access.
Internet access.
What other access ways did I hear God speaking to me? He said social media, right? And, I did not understand why I was, limited in that area or the capacity of, I'm like, God, why I got to do this? Like, why I got to change my number? People, blah, blah, blah. Why I got to get off social media? People, blah, blah, blah. And he said, that's the reason, because of people, right? I need you to see you, right? Because you're more than. And so in the winter, for me, winter, when spring comes, it reveals what you've done in the previous season for me, right? And so for me, during that winter season, that's when he said, you're a dreamer, so I need you to master that, right? Master dreaming, master understanding what you need to do for yourself, and understanding why I gave you this gift. And so that's when I went to dream school for 10 months, right? And last year graduated with a certification in a dream practitioner, right? And so being more than just a therapist, meaning that there is more growth that I needed to do as a student of life, you know, versus being the one out in the forefront in life, right? And so for me, letting go of who I was in the previous season and welcoming in who I am now, right, is where I am.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So mine's just gonna sound a little crazy, but I'm gonna bring it back. Okay. So
We take the trips with you. Let's go. Everybody got on a seatbelt. We rolling.
So I have been letting go a lot of physical things. And one thing I've realized in my life is the physical and the spiritual usually parallels. So while I'm letting go of physical things, I'm also letting go of spiritual things like limiting beliefs, like Tisa spoke of. So for instance, I actually went through my closet and I'm pulling out boxes.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? I've literally had stuff in boxes since I moved, which is going on about 6 months now. And I always tell y'all, like, I ain't got nothing to wear. And it's because the stuff, either it's not my style, or it's too small, or it's too big. But it's like I was so comfortable just having it in there, even though it wasn't serving me. But just to know, like, well, I can always reach back and get it if I need to.
That's so symbolic.
It is symbolic.
Yes,
It's symbolic.
But it's like lately I've been getting this nudge, like, pull out everything.
Yep.
And go through every single thing, and what no longer serves you, even them shoes over there, they hurt.
But you knew you
But
was
I
going to
won't
sit
with-
down the whole time, so I get
Yeah, I
it. You
was
can just
thinking
like,
but it's like, and I have all these nice shoes, but it's like, if you no longer wear them, if they're no longer serving you, let them go and make room for more to come into your life. And even the car.
Yes.
So y'all know I've been car shopping, right? Let me tell y'all. So I test drove the car, I wanted everything.
Yeah.
But something in my mind was like, girl, it's a car payment. You know, you ain't never had to pay a car payment. Your car is totally paid off. And I'm like, I trust that I'm walking in abundance, and regardless of what happens, I've always been able to pay my bills. And the thing is, I have. So it's like, why am I being so uncomfortable when it comes down to stretching my faith?
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the longer I take to trade in the car and get the car that I want, it's like bad things happen. I'm gonna tell y'all, literally in the last 2 weeks, I've lost a key. So now I only got one key to the car. And I hit the mirror.
Come on.
and now, were you going to use it as a trade-in?
Yeah.
See, now, and the value is going down.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, oh my God, like
Gotta go
this
ahead
thing
and
is
do it.
totally gonna be
date.
total if I don't do what I know I need to do. And it reminds me of when I was going through my divorce, and we were only paying $2,200 for like a 5-bedroom home, and that was including taxes and everything. And I wanted to stay in there 'cause I was like, well, this is comfortable, you know, I can afford it. And it was like, no, you ain't staying here. And it's funny that I pay more in my apartment than I pay for that house, but I'm not struggling.
Yeah.
Back then I felt like, oh, I can't, this is my top. I
Right.
can't do any more than this. And now it's like, no, girl, you live in a 1-bedroom apartment
Yeah.
and you paying more. And you're doing
Right,
just
it's
fine.
fine. Come
Just
on.
fine. So it's like, the Lord is stretching me on my beliefs, on my limited beliefs, and really testing my faith on knowing that infinite abundance is open to me.
Yeah.
And my needs will always be taken care of, regardless if my expenses are $5,000 or $15,000.
Yeah.
They will always be taken care of. So it's just like, yeah, that's what I've been going through.
Yeah.
I like
What I hear from everybody is really, when it comes down to us, one having, it gives us false sense of of abundance. It gives a false sense of security, a false sense of, you know, I got things. And I don't know why we really, you know, take comfort in that, because it really is in the way. And I think about how every season I actually go through my drawers, my closets. I do the same thing for my kids as well. Well, I do it twice a year. So when we're leaving out of the summer, going into fall and winter, and then I do it again in the spring so I can bring out the spring and summer clothes. So I go through and do it twice a year. So it's like, when I do that, I'm like, okay, originally I thought I had a whole bunch of socks, right? But you really got a whole bunch of mixed match socks. Oh, I didn't realize that, you know, 80% of these drawers got holes in them, right? You know what I'm saying? So it gives the appearance, you're like, oh, I got.
Yeah.
How do you know what it is that you truly need until you get rid of some shit?
Yes.
Until you really go through those things, and as you were going through your clothes and your shoes, because when you go out, and say for instance you were going to the mall, now granted you needed some new shoes, but in your mind it gave, I'm good, I don't need shoes. But when the need really arose and it came for you to utilize it, you couldn't. And I feel like we absolutely do that even in our lives when it comes to a job, when it comes to relationships, right? I feel like I'm good. I got something in that spot. So it don't show a sense of urgency that we really need to get rid of it and get something else. What happens when you clean out all of your drawers? What happens when you go through and clean out all of your refrigerator? Then you realize there's a sense of urgency here. I need to get some things.
And also, you free up your time. I can't tell y'all how much time I have used pulling out boxes looking for stuff. How much time I have used, you know, cleaning out my car and trying to clean the stain and doing the oil because it's an older car. And it's like, if I did what I needed to do, I would have much more time.
Much more time.
It's a waste. It's a waste of time looking for, oh, this got a hole in it. This guy, and then you put it back in the drawer.
You know what that reminds me of symbolically, or I mean, in actuality too, how much work it goes into holding on to things that are old. Right? It takes up so much time, so much energy, right? And how much easier it is, and how much better it feels, and how much freer it feels with the new, right? Or when there's space.
When there's space.
Ooh, I love space.
I do too. I love space.
Yes.
I love space.
Like, even, I know this is hilarious, but there are people, I work with a lot of like graphics at my job, right? And PowerPoints and brochures and things like that.
That's why she's so good at getting all stuff together.
Right. Look, I hated that work. But anyway,
She's masterful at our stuff. There you go.
It's hilarious to me that people who are uncomfortable with space, and I know I'm talking about like a PowerPoint, but people who feel like they need to fill up the whole page with something, it drives me insane. It's also why I have difficult time with people that hoard things, or the idea of like clutter, right? It drives me insane. But anyway, the physical, actual feeling, and how symbolically it is with the new in space, how that really feels.
And it's crazy because usually your space is a reflection of your mentality and a reflection of your spiritual life. Like, it's funny because, so if you was to come into my place, it looks very clean, it looks very neat, other than those dishes that is in the side. But I'm big on like sweeping the floor and cleaning the counters. But if you look into my closet, it's organized baggage. And it just shows me what's my mentality and what's my spiritual world like. So it's like, girl, it's time to unpack. And though you organize the baggage and it looks nice and pristine, girl, get rid of that. Make space.
You just said something just went off in my head. So the house is good.
It looks beautiful.
The bedroom is good. The living room, the kitchen, but behind closed doors, what are you holding on to?
And the word that she used was unpack. There's a story associated with the clutter.
True.
There's a story associated with the clutter.
Maybe you want to hold on, like you said, for fear of I'm going to need this. Even when it comes to a relationship. What happens when I get lonely? I'm gonna need
what?
this. Who am I? I need to
Yeah.
keep his number. I need to keep her number.
Just in case.
Just in case.
of what?
I need to hold on to
What?
this job even though I hate it. Just in
case.
it's stability. We start making all these excuses as why we need to hold on to these things
Yes.
versus telling them to get the hell out.
Because creativity requires effort. It requires you to be able to imagine, but also work towards what you are trying now to create. Space, for me, equivalates to creation, right? To be able to create that which is new, right? And so some people don't want to put forth the effort, right? Once you make that space, my drawers are, I can see, right? I can see it, but what do I do with this right now? What do I do?
For me, I think it's opposite. It gives me the ability to. It's almost like a blank slate, right?
For me, me too.
You know,
me
it's
too.
like,
Yes.
oh, this is the where's my
Because we love
canvas?
space.
Right.
We love space. But for those who are uncomfortable,
I'm
just like
like,
Tisa was saying,
Whew.
uncomfortable with space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let me see what comes to me.
Right.
I'm imagining colors and
Yes.
furniture and just,
Creativity.
you know what I'm saying? When that is
Creativity.
clear,
Imagination.
I'm like, it just flows. It just comes.
And you know what I was thinking? It can also be in the family patterns. Because I think about it like my mother. Okay, she loves to decorate. She's excellent at it. She should be decorating 5-star hotels, right?
Yeah.
But, she's just not there in her mentality. But it's like she holds on to everything. But it's organized. It's like she has like 3 storage units of just organized stuff. Like
And does she know where stuff is?
she does know where it is,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird. And she was the type where she never gets rid of shoes. She never gets rid of coats. Now, the stuff is organized in her closet very nicely, but it's stuff in there from 15, 20 years. And it's in great shape, but it's like, Mom, I know you don't wear this stuff.
You don't wear it.
And then on second, it's like even with the house, it's like stuff. And though it's decorated very nicely, it would be too much for me because I'm a minimalist. And it's like I thought I was kind of getting away from that because my main house is nice and, stuff is not everywhere. Decoration is not everywhere. But then it's like my closets kind of remind me of mother. So it's like we have those hidden family patterns in there that we're not even realizing that we're still cycling. And it's like, why are you holding on to stuff? Where is that scarcity mindset, that scarcity mindset coming from?
Yeah.
It's still in there. Though you thought you got over it, it's somewhere still
That's
in there.
good.
And your
That's good.
closet's reflecting that.
Reflecting of it.
Yes.
That's good.
You know what that makes me think of? I actually never thought about this before, even though I often think about the symbolism of space. Is I know people who suffer from depression, and I'm sorry, I don't like to use that word. I don't like to use the word suffer, who have a challenge with depression.
Okay.
And they, like when they're not going through an episode or in another part of their life where maybe they didn't have that challenge, when they are going through depression, they actually become hoarders. And I never, like, it's just, now we're talking about this, like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Comforting.
Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
And maybe it's also some control there.
Oh, it is.
false-
Oh,
girl.
yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Maybe it's some control there.
Absolutely.
What
Because
you
it's,
say about
because it's familiar. It's familiar. It's familiar. I have a client who is challenged with depression. And the first thing that we did was I said, open your closet. And she said no.
She like, mind your business.
But you're here today, right? So we need for you to expose some things, right? And for those that, again, are challenged with exposure and really getting to the root of why you don't want to clean, right? Because it's some stuff that you're not ready to deal with. There's some unresolved things that you're not ready to deal with. And you want to keep that door shut.
And I think the how uncomfortable surrender makes us, right? When I think about, I used to be a control freak, right?
I like
that. Like, it was bad. Man, it was bad. not realizing how much I was out of control by having a false sense of control.
That's good.
And I was just so uncomfortable with the idea of surrender.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable with it. Like that, you got to work through a lot. Like that's fear. To let go.
Yeah.
When I said I had to work like clinging, it's
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is, man, when I think about it for myself and the things I cling to, usually people, and it's that idea that it's really settling. I know I've just jumped around from control to settling and surrender, but whatever, we're gonna flow with it. Okay, yeah, we're gonna flow with it. Yeah. It's that this is something, right? And to surrender to the idea of, well, what's next? Like I'm gonna let this go and let go of this. Even though I know I have a true core belief that what's ahead of me is better, it's still that
Yeah.
You don't know what it looks like, too.
Yeah, I don't know what it looks like.
The uncertainty of it.
Yeah. The unknown.
And even trying to prolong feeling a certain type of way.
Yeah.
Right? Like knowing that I'm gonna have to sit in unclenching, and moving on, like those emotions that I'm going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Trying to avoid all of that.
Yeah.
We all going through therapy right now. Everybody they like this the quietest they ever been. They feeling with some,
But it's like I can't help to think, as I was even going through some of the stuff today, the closet, I seen this shoe, and it's like this stiletto, this 5-inch stiletto heel. This shoe is beautiful now, but I've never worn it, and I know it's going to be uncomfortable to wear. And I'm like, oh, I still have that.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, I just put it back on in the box, and it's like, when y'all said, like, why are you even holding on to it? Like, why am I holding on to that?
Right.
I know I would never wear that shoe ever.
Right.
Like, am I just waiting to take a cute picture with it? Like,
Right.
what is going on?
But I think it's still that inkling of just in case,
Yes.
the backup.
But it's like, girl, it's been 4-5 years. Like,
And
if the in case ain't came, it ain't coming.
Right.
And you still like the shoe?
Yes, it's a beautiful shoe.
Yeah.
But I know it's not fitting for me.
Right.
I know that I can't wear heels over 4 inches without being uncomfortable.
One of the things that, I think about processes as, of course, reverting to coaching is we should ask ourselves a bunch of questions and also answer them truthfully. If you go through that process, because even when we're talking about clenching and holding on to, we're talking about emotions. We're talking about feelings. We're talking about the attachment. This is where we need to introduce logic into the picture. When it really comes time to do spring cleaning, this is no more a discussion about, oh, do I like it? Is it beautiful? What purpose does it truly serve? The purpose, does it still have its intended purpose? When I first purchased the shoe, it was maybe some emotions there too. Oh, this shoe is good, but I'm more than likely gonna wear this. I'm gonna have somewhere to wear these too, and I'm gonna love this shoe. Now you need to go through that same process of asking yourself that question with this shoe. Okay, do you still love the shoe? Yes, I still love the shoe. It is bad.
Right.
Can you wear the shoe? And the answers, and we cannot let ourselves off of the hook by saying maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things I do is I say it's either a yes or no.
Yeah.
I am the coach, and I get it. They be like, oh, well, some of those things you got to let them figure out. No, we're going to have a yes or no. This is no longer a passive maybe or whenever. No. Will you wear the shoe?
Exactly.
So that's a no. It goes over to that side.
Right.
Well, why won't you? And let's provide substantiation to that, because it's not even enough to even say no, right?
Right.
Then you're going to think of, okay, well, why won't you ever wear the shoe? Probably because they're too tight. Man, I don't be liking to wear heels right now. And where do I really go? Now you're providing substantiation as to why you need to let this thing go. And I feel like we need to start having those same exact conversations when it comes to making sure we're getting things the hell out of our lives.
Yeah.
Jobs, relationships, and, same process I went through with, like I said, letting go or deciding to move on. Do you still like it? Yeah, I still like it. I had to ask myself some more questions. Does it still serve the purpose of what it was intended to do? No, I kind of felt like I've reached a plateau. I still love it, but okay. Well, what else could you be doing with your time? So now you're going through that process and you feel good about the release. It's no more a negative feeling associated with it. It's now, I'm now looking forward to the next.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And can I add on a question to that?
Yes.
I think a good question, is it suitable for me in my now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I was thinking about this badass skirt that I got in my closet right now, and you just said it. Is it suitable for? I mean, I showed it to David. He was like, that look good on you. And I looked at myself. I was like, that do look good on me. But I'm like, where am I going to wear this to? Yeah. You know, like, is it really suitable for what, where I am, where I'm going? Like, I'm even looking at different places, like, where I'm, like, I'm not going to wear this. Yeah. I'm not going to wear it.
I hate when you have one of those outfits.
Because it's been hanging up in my closet. It's been in my closet for over a year. For over a year. I didn't clean it out yet, Tisa. I didn't clean it out yet.
What size is it?
Girl, what you gonna get, a thigh up in there? One thigh. I mean, hey. One thigh. Yeah. You know what? And as you were talking about that, again, I went through this process. I was doing it for the kids, and this was moving into the fall months. So our son, our youngest son, they go in between, he and our daughter, our 8-year-old and our 12-year-old, they go back and forth like literally every other day from our house to their mother's home. And because of that, sometimes they just grow out of the things that we purchase for them just so quickly. Like, it's just, dang, we just bought those for you. So my husband had bought these snow boots for our youngest son. And when I was cleaning them out, we got rid of a lot of things, but they had the tags still on there. And I was like, dang, they're so good. They ain't never get a chance to wear them. And poor baby feet would have been like this. So I was like, you know what? Maybe we can take them back to the store, right? Because they was like $30 or whatever, but this was last year that we got him this, but the tag was still on there. Maybe they can match up the credit card or something like that. And, they're still great boots. I don't, went and they were driving around in my car for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. My husband took them. I was like, maybe you can take them back. I get in his truck the other day. They still in the same place riding around. And I'm like, what is going on? Why are we so attached to it? Because it appears to be new. Because we've never gotten the opportunity to use it and leverage it. Yeah. Why do you feel like you so invested in this just because you made the purchase? Yeah. But it still didn't serve its purpose. Why is it not easy to still let go?
That's good.
That's good. You know what that also makes me think of? Not buying clothes, particularly with my youngest son, because they grow so rapidly. I don't like to buy clothes that just fit. I like to buy them a little big so that he'll grow into them.
That's it.
Yes. Let me sip some tea on that, sis. You just dropped something right there.
Come on now. Come on.
So
that's something you can grow into.
Yeah. Talk about
you ain't gotta necessarily
it.
Yes.
Right.
Come
Allow
on now.
yourself room to be stretched.
Yeah. Come on now.
What marker was that?
Come on.
So taking on what's not only suitable for now, but what you can blossom into.
Yes.
Woo.
That's with the clothes, the men, the job, all of that. Like, can this sustain where I'm going?
Right.
Yes. And not just fit me just for right now,
but for where I'm going.
Room, just in case my feet swell a little bit. Let me get a little bit bigger.
Right.
Because we don't always know. I mean, we have a picture in our mind of our vision, what we want or what we think we want our life to look like and stuff like that, right? But it's I like to think of it as creating room to, like we have a picture, right? And an outline, but really allowing God to paint, right? Creating room.
Canvas. Yep.
Yeah, creating that canvas.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just in case you want to add something on, and you want to paint the smaller picture, but get a bigger canvas so you'll have space and start right there in the middle.
And being okay with not knowing exactly what it looks like.
Yes.
But
That's the whole point of imagination.
You know,
That
the
is
funny thing is, so with the car, that's kind of the thing. The thing is, it's like, Jessica, look, we know you're comfortable with the car that you have now. We know that you're not big on cars, but for where you're going, we're going to need you to look like where you're going. And you can't be driving around in a hoopty that you don't dent it up and beat up.
Come on.
You know?
Right.
And the funny thing is, like, the dents and stuff, they just started getting in there as my mindset started expanding. I don't have this car for almost 10 years. And it's just within the last 6 months that I don't got dents here and there.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's time for you to let it go. How many times do we have to have you crash into something?
Yeah.
Like,
It was hard to hit your car.
it's time to get something that is fitting for where we're taking you. And we can't have you driving up in a hoopty to anywhere because you don't even fit that car anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
You jumping out, looking all bedazzled.
Yeah. Bedazzled. Come on.
And your bumper hanging off. Like, come on, stop it, Jessica.
It don't align.
It don't.
It don't align.
But it's like, I have to have the faith. And I have to move out of my comfort.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we talked about that before, even as it pertains to, you know, I'm a plant mommy. I love my babies, right? I just, you know, my room is out of control at this point. But we were talking about, and I think we brought it up on our previous episodes, when you first get a plant and it's in a specific pot, but in order for it to really grow, in order for it to really sprout, once you take it out of the current pot, it's going to survive. Just being, it's going to stay exactly where it is.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily going to die, but it's not going to grow.
Stagnant.
So once you take it out and then put it in that bigger pot and give it more space, now it's like, okay, I can do it now.
I got room.
Then it can spread out and shoot up.
Yeah.
But some people want for the shooting up and the spreading out to happen first.
Yeah.
That's not how it goes.
Yeah.
That's not how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Reminds me of a plant that I have in my dining room. I have not repotted my baby, right? So instead of the pot or instead of the plant going this way, it is going this way. Right? It's going this way. You know?
It's a grapevine. It don't turn into a grapevine.
No.
It's just,
Like you can tell the roots are ready.
oh,
It's
they
ready.
just busting. where
They
it's
just
leaning.
busting. They just busting loose, right? So the expiration for that pot is up.
Yeah.
It's done. You know, the beautiful thing about life and seasons is it has a beginning date and an expiration date. It's up for us to either move with it, or if we resist it, life is going to give us those signs and warnings. If you don't move, I'm going to give you a glimpse of what's going to happen. A glimpse of what's going to happen. I'm going to start, you know, the bumper and the window thing.
And
if
calling you
don't
in the
move-
office all the time, like, so you didn't
can
come to work,
Right.
on time, like, ever for the past 3 years.
And we just want to bring it up now.
right, exactly. It's like,
Knowing you don't want to be at that job.
know.
You don't want to be at that job.
You don't seem like you into me no more.
Right. Come on. Come on. Because I'm not.
Right.
It's yeah.
It reminds me of that analogy that we that people still say, right? Or that we know. It's not really an analogy. That like pay attention. Like I like to think about it like this: pay attention when it's just a tap, when God's just tapping, when you just lightly like, or you ignore it.
That's it.
It gets
It
louder.
gets louder.
Hey!
It's louder. It's
And you
Right.
want to make the change yourself before you're forced to make the
That's
change.
it.
Because if
That's
you
what's
wait
gonna
that
happen.
long, it's gonna be worse.
It is.
that's the consequence of over expiration.
Yes.
And
That's the
sometimes, and I just got to give, God a good old shout out. Sometimes he's not sometimes, he's oftentimes very merciful to us, that even past the expiration, that he still has us covered.
Yes.
I'm thinking about, again, coming out of corporate America, and right before the pandemic, this is 2018, 2019, after I had pursued my career, being in IT cybersecurity, being in the IT industry for 20 years, like, climbing the ladder, really, Black woman, predominantly white, male industry, having a seat at the table. They're like, what are you here to take notes? No, I'm an engineer, right? Just thinking about all those things that I had to go through. And he said, okay, this is what you wanted. This is what you thought you needed. You got your 6 figures. You traveled all over and everything like that. And you're still unfulfilled. You're still, now what?
Yeah.
So I was sitting there, and my manager, she would ask me, like, what are your next steps? What are your next moves? And I'm putting these plans together in my mind. I'm going to do this. I'm going to save this amount of money, and and then I'm going to leave. Then I'm going to go back to my love. And he's like, you think this about you and when you ready to do something? Okay. It started to get very uncomfortable. Being there, it was very uncomfortable. And she could, let's meet again. Yeah. You should be a trainer. You should do presentations. You're really good at that. I still want you in IT. Maybe move to another role. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I got a plan working in my mind. And it was like, okay, so we're having an acquisition, and your role is no longer a part of this. Your role is, you can apply for another job. I'm pretty sure you'll get it within the industry, but your role is gone. Yeah, we know you make your quota. We know you show up. We know you give great customer service, but your role. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. And it was very uncomfortable for me. But God and his grace and mercy. Okay, here's your severance package. Here's your severance package. And I was like, oh, okay, so this going to do what I wanted it to do anyway. So, God, I thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, bad. I can do what I wanted to do. This is what I was thinking about saving anyway.
Yes.
And I brought that up because you still got to go through that uncomfortable time. Even if you stay around and you've outlived your season. We got a God that is merciful, that still says, I'm still going to look out for your knuckleheaded, stubborn, non-listening tail.
Right.
Well, why go through all of that?
Right.
Exactly. I think it's because discomfort and pain is like a catalyst for most of us to change. And that's why we have to go through it. I mean, change is going to come. But for us to really, like, choose growth, we have to be uncomfortable. We have to be painful. So it's just like, okay, so y'all remember that I said the house that I was paying $2,200 for, right? I didn't want to give that up. However, I didn't want to work corporate anymore. I spent my last couple months building up my website, building up my business, because I had 3 monitors. I had my own office. I was doing my work 90% of the time, and then their work on the side, whatever. And it was an easy job. But it's like towards the end, as everything got built up, I felt like I was like, well, I could keep the job and work the business, you know. But it started to become so uneasy in my spirit that I hated waking up to go to that job, and I didn't really even do much. But then they started nitpicking on stuff, and it got to the point where I was like, F y'all, like I ain't. Let me put in my 2-day notice. But then I was like, no, I'm gonna give it 14. So no, what actually came up is the house sold. In the house, we end up splitting $160K. So he got 80, I got 80. And then on top of that, I went into some of my retirement funds. So basically, I left that job with over $100K in savings. And I realized, this is why I had to let go of that house. Because this was the cushion I needed to take me out of corporate America so I could start my own business. And even with the business stuff, I felt like a fish out of water. I'm like, what I'm supposed to do now?
Right, now what?
It literally took me like 6 to 7 months of not doing really anything to be like, okay, well, let me just get into it. So I literally had to grow into the mission that God had gave me.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm continuing to expand, and God is like, okay, here's a bigger pot, here's a bigger pot, here's a bigger pot.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's everything works properly how it needs to. Everything.
Now I'll be looking forward to it. Once
does.
you kind of go through the process enough, and you really take that time to look back in retrospect and evaluate and then assess and analyze, you be like, wait a minute. I'm on to something here.
I
Let
like
me get
it.
ready.
I like
it's a
it.
new pot.
Yes,
Let's go.
that's it.
You know?
Yes.
You know, like the overwhelming kind of response that I've been getting on my social media platforms. Like it's new. It's like explosive. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's go. You know, I got more people in my inbox. What you're saying is impacting, it's changing my life. And I'm like, okay, all right, where we going? You know? All right, let's keep it going. You start to really welcome it versus being so closed off because you realize that, you know, everything that I've experienced in the past has really gotten me to where I am now. What happens when I just go with it?
Yeah.
What happens? How much easier would it be?
And also, I tend to think that we're co-creators of our reality. And it's like when you make room, it's almost like you're expecting something bigger and better to come in there.
Yes.
So it's like, when you step out on faith and you say, I'm going to let what no longer serves me go because I know what is coming in is going to be right for me. It's going to be something I can grow into. It's going to be something of abundance. It's like God, the universe. They meet you. And they say, okay, well, now we got room. Okay, hey, send it in. Send in the flood.
And do you also understand what you let go of is a blessing for somebody else? When we hold on to things like even relationships, that may not be your man, that may not be your wife, right? That may not be for you. That job, somebody else is going to get in that job and kill it. Somebody else is that's going to be their first car. The car that's beat up, that's going to be their Lexus. You know,
Their
man, I was
treasure.
I only had $2,000 and that's what your car costs. So we have to understand that us accepting and welcoming in and getting rid of other people are blessed by that.
It's like the flow of energy.
Give and receive.
Flowing, no stagnant energy.
Right.
Always moving.
Always
And
moving.
by the way, what I ended up doing with those shoes, with talking about going with the flow, I was going to Sam's, and literally, y'all, this was the other day. I was going to get in the group message and kind of tell y'all about this, but he had me shut my mouth, and I'll tell y'all on another part why, right? Because it was part of the situation. But I was in Sam's, and I actually had to take his Jeep because my car tire said that it was going flat or something. So I pulled it back and I jumped in his Jeep and I was like, babe, it's going flat. I need you to, take care of that. So when I was putting the grocery in the back trunk, I saw the shoes there. Mind you, and it was the day that it was snowing. So y'all know I have Raynaud's and my hands were freezing. So I was like, oh my God, let me hurry up. Let me go in. And I heard it so clear. Give those shoes away. I heard it like standing right here. Give those, and I'm like, who am I supposed to give them to? My hands cold. He's like, I said, give those shoes away. So I was like, all right, and then again, my hands start to feel like they're on fire. Like it was just like that cold. So I said, well, who am I supposed to? He said, I'm going to tell you who to give them to. So I got them. I put the grocery in. I took the shoes and I started walking. And of course, I'm attempted to find somebody to give them to. Saw this little girl. She had on like these little sandals with socks, and I'm looking down at her. He's like, nope, that's not who I want you to give them to. So I'm like, okay. So I walk in. They was like, we got to put a sticker on it. I'm like, I didn't get them from here. They said, we got to do this just in case when you walk out, they'll know you didn't get them from here. I say, fine. So I'm looking down on, he's like, no, keep going, and I'm going to tell you when to stop. So I start going. I'm like, I'm almost at the back. It was by the eatery spot. And then I saw a table with 3 kids, and then it was a husband and a wife, and then they had 3 kids at that table. So he's like, that's who you give them to. So I'm like, I ain't got nobody to decide. So I just I saw them in the glimpse, like I didn't examine their feet or anything. So I was like, hey, I don't mean to intrude. I said, could you all use these shoes? They still had the string, the tag, and everything on there. And she was like, me? I was like, yeah, could you all use it? I said, look, we purchased these last year. I've been riding around. I've been led to literally come back in here and give them to you. She was like, to me? I was like, yeah. So she looks at her husband, and I looked down and I saw that he had on a ring, and he kind of turns his head a little bit. She was like, oh my God. I literally told him yesterday that we need to buy him some boots. And I looked back, and the little boy that she was she said, those are his size. Those are his exact size. And I was and I literally in front of her, and I said, thank you, God.
That's it.
I said, thank you, God. And I was like, she was like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I am required to give these to you. It is no Sam's Club.
Yes.
And you literally had the conversation with your husband, who didn't say a word the whole entire time. That's what I was going to talk to y'all about, but we're going to go past that part, right? And it wasn't, he never said thank you. She was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And I was like, no problem. Have a better than amazing day. And I left on out.
Yes.
And I'm saying that to really say, when we let go, we make room to bless others. Somebody else is praying for that blessing.
Yes.
And that was so fulfilling. It was like, okay, I'm hearing. The same size and everything, because the tag was hanging. And I was like, could you use these? And she was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
We literally had this conversation yesterday, or she said like the other day.
Yeah.
I said, well, here you 6 children. She has 6 children over there.
Yeah.
You know what that makes me think of? When I was like 10, my mom was a drug addict, and it was really, really bad, and I had to make the decision. My mom was literally like my world, right? Because I thought I could save her from her addiction all at the age of 10, right? Just me. I was gonna do it. If I just stayed next to her and was like, you're not gonna get hot. But anyway, that's another story. I had to make I kept feeling like I needed to leave. I had an aunt that lived in Georgia. We lived in Maryland at the time. But I had a feeling that if I left, she literally was gonna die. And I kept fighting it. And finally, eventually, I was just like, I can't take it no more. I have to leave. And she literally begged me not to go. I mean, the night before I left, like, she was bawling. Oh my gosh. It was the most difficult decision, one of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make. But when the day that I left was the last day that she got high. Well, she eventually relapsed a year later. But point is, she was, it took me leaving, right? Letting go. It took me letting go in order to spark change in her and be her lesson. And it was, and that was the last day that she got high, like a year and a half.
Wow. Wow.
So much power in it.
So much power in letting go. Y'all, we hope this has been a blessing to you. I believe we can all say this has been a blessing to us.
We went through our own therapy.
Go home and got some stuff to throw away.
A lot of as always, we're going to do our takeaways, and then we're going to come back at the next time. Jess?
So my takeaway is that it's essential for you to let go so you can create the atmosphere and the energetic possibility for something new to come in that is a better fit for you and something you can really grow into.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say to make it easier to let go of, kind of what you just said too. Have a mindset of expectation. Knowing that what's to come is greater, it's better, new opportunities, new growth, being stretched, all of that is for your highest good. So having the mindset of expectation that is for your highest good.
I love it. Sounds like a big perspective shift to me, right?
Yeah.
I think my takeaway and last thoughts, it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing to let it go. It's a blessing to allow others, because it's new for them. It's new. What is old to you is new for
them.
somebody else. And the joy and love that you can bring somebody else just by letting something go, why not be a part of that?
Yeah. Knowing that after death, there is life. That there is this part of letting go requires you to lose something in order for you to gain. Yeah.
All right.
And that's it.
All right, Xcapaders. And we out.
Hey, y'all, that was a therapy session for real. Oh, my God. Give me some time. I can't wait to listen to that. That was a whole lot of Yeah, I said it was a whole lot of Yeah, we good. Oh, you mind getting a couple of, just real quick, a video of us?
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Xcapade to Expansion podcast. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe.